look at this. Here's where it's going to throw a lot of people off, the whole thing about the Christ myth. And it's because when you don't have a third eye and you don't have much awareness of spirituality, you also insist that there is even no spiritual world because you've never experienced it. You only have faith about it. And in that's where the hijack takes place. It takes place because there is another reality that most cannot see. So you got to be able to feel it. You got to be able to feel what's going on. And in this process, you start realizing, especially if you're studied, it's just so. You know how they be doing that with the money now? Oh, this is how it should be, okay? When you're studied, you realize that the power in itself of spirits anyway is in belief and in consecration. So if everyone starts to believe in something and then they consecrate it into an image, that brings it or gives it some type of life. And this is what the Jesuits were really, really aware of. They understood this. This is like the basics of what you would call paganism. That's pagan, the family of Pa or Pater versus Magan or Magan. You see what I mean? So the reality to all of this is that when we're talking about occult powers, you can't say anymore that this eidolon Jesus does not exist. And that's what's going to trip people up real fast. I saw him. He talked to me. He came and saved me. Because it was like basic law of attraction type stuff, silly. If billions of people believed in it, then it would begin to manifest. And if it could be controlled, this is what a brand is. This is why the number one agency that creates this Target logo and creates all the logos for Circle K and all this kind of stuff, they're called Pentagram. And it's built on that knowledge that when you create a crest or a logo, as they call it, the logos, and you could get words around it, you can get a theme around it, you can even try to incorporate a story around it, and then you get more and more people to believe in it, it actually becomes real. It exists. It animates. But also the magic in itself is a bit twisted because it's always founded on lies. It actually takes the harnessing of other people's energy in order to power that projection. And if that projection is not for them, then they just become the particles in which that projection is made up of. And what I mean by not for them is that there's no way you can sit at all as an adept and look at a man of any color and imagine that you are looking at the only son of the creator of the universe. Wow. For that to go over everybody's head, that's what makes it, it's not a debate. How do you debate that? How do you debate common sense? People are expecting to find that the creator of all there is a humanoid. This is a blundie. Good luck in there. You're not going to see what you think you're going to see. You're not going to see a man. There are too many other different types of life forms here. And then when you take all of the life forms, 365, and you put them together, now you're kind of looking at it. And if you think that you can stand in its face and live, if you think you could put a he and even a she on it, that's your limitation. Now, of course, we're going to do some baby steps. You're going to be with the Lord, and you're going to be with the barons, and you're going to be with the dukes, and you're going to be with the duchies, because that's where all those terms come from. Like, they're just now realizing, like, we're moving slow. People are already putting together, hey, America is really Egypt. Shout out to UBTV, boy. When he comes back sometimes and yeah, debate him. I read all his stuff across with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was only verified at 100%. America was Egypt. So this also still, you got to go further. Well, when those people were leaving Egypt and they went over, where did they go? Could that be those people who left Egypt and went to Scotland? If we're not thinking that Egypt is over where it is now, but hey, I won't even get into this right now, but your entire history doesn't include her story. So you're only getting half. And you're making at times decisions based on only having half of the truth. And at the end of the day, a lot of times, man, that's why I just stay clear of the agents and the NPCs. Can you really blame them if they only have half of the truth? Like, what are they supposed to function on? Like, they gotta stay at some point solid and say, this is what I believe in. So this is why I will admit it's a perilous journey to leave a dogma and then think that you're going to play out there now that you're responsible for your soul in your own consciousness at that stage. There's no more to refer to, no more evangels to hang on to and broker with. And then you're still having moral issues. You're still demented in certain ways, still fractured, still hurt, still damaged. You see what I mean? And then now you don't have any kind of faith or no kind of belief. You see, so people are just getting along with these Walmart religious snacks. But then time draws nigh, meaning that it's all still a divine timing and alignment. So at a certain point, everything must be revealed. And we're in those times. Great. So, as I said before, the name is Sword, okay? The Stewart family. This is why so many quote unquote black people are hooked on the Christianity, because they were doing it over there in Great Britain, in London, in the bourgeoisie. Amen. Kiss my ring. Kiss the ring of the king. I represent the king of the kings. We all kings. You ain't. This was the vibe for real. People act like this is like a user-friendly, they love everything. No, they come with the sword. They came to divide. People die every day still right now because of this ignorance. The world is being rent asunder, and at the foundation, there is these machinations of religious roots. And people be like, no, it's the devil. No, it's the religion. The religion has them still stuck in a secular, it's all about me. And if you don't do what I say, like a spoiled kid, if you don't do what I say, then my daddy is going to beat your daddy. Really? What I mainly want to bring forth is just that awareness that we're progressing as a unity. We're digressing when we're divided. If someone brings division and ideas of division, then it's very difficult to teach them unity. It's something that they have to experience. And you experience unity because you're tired of being in division. And once you start to realize, and wake up and see the common sense, once you start to realize that, oh, wow, I'm being invited in to all there is, because now I'm letting go of my divisive ideas. You can see why there's only two spaces. There's the world of the divided, Humpty Dumpty, who can't put itself back together again, always looking for how it's special and how it's different than everybody else, but not seeing any of the commonalities going on here, not to mention treating everybody like family for real. Jumping on a team. It's like you still see that old, because we're not too far off of it. But remember, I told you that it was a point where men, not only were they testing metal with each other, like the ruler was always the strongest, but there was also like, you literally had to worry about your village being sacked and your things being taken and something going on, because the men were just running around and they were stronger. You see what I mean? So it becomes like this culture, this warlike culture, because that's what this is we're in now. Everybody wants to battle and everybody wants to go to war and they want to fight, right? Women don't participate in this kind of thing. And this is what I was saying. You think it would be obvious to realize that the divine feminine is the force that sustains worlds, and that the divine masculine, or excuse me, the undivine masculine is the one that tears it up. And because that just happens in every single everyday life. So again, so when you get these bands of men, and they're like, yeah, I'm coming with the sword. I represent this. Yeah, every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess. They gravitate towards that. It feeds something from a long time ago that's been doing it. Mothers and brothers have died. People have killed the tribes, mothers of other mothers, and they pissed. So you're talking about skirmishes that don't end easily at all, where someone is saying, you know what, I forgive you. These wars that are even going on right now, there wasn't a time really where it wasn't a rearmament happening from other sides that had just finished getting their ass whooped and they were crawling out of the sludge. Are you a child? Lonely? Waiting for a male figure to return home? Do we even reject the feminine role in society? Just like, as I said, someone that is relieved by a shaman will often even attack that shaman just because they're the only person that's there. Do we not also see that in the end of something, which is but the beginning, that it's always run down and raggedy? Have we become the kind of people that only judges everyone based on when they're in their golden age? But when they start to falter, now they're our enemy? This is the same generation that doesn't look out for its ancestors, doesn't look out for its elders, don't care about grandma, don't care about grandpa, great-great-grand. And people can't realize that that is the same thing that on a spiritual level is actually happening, that is creating the disconnect. Because we're not looking for great-great-great-grandmother and great-great-great-grandfather as far as in our hearts, and then we're over here wandering after some fictitious idea. Do people actually think that there's a mansion in the sky where everybody is going to stay? How big is your bedroom? Oh, I'm going to have a mansion. So everybody's going to have mansions. Is there toilets in the mansion? Do you see how idiotic? But again, common sense is not common. So it's easy again. The easy route is the opium of the masses. Tell them everything they want to hear. It's like a Donald Trump. Tell them everything they want to hear. Oh, am I going to get this? Yeah, you're going to get this. Am I special? Yeah, I'm special. But you need to do this. And that's the twist in all this. Because it could be so innocent if it was just that. But no, you have people that speak for this church. And they tell you what is going to be done and what you're going to believe, who you're going to love, who you're going to hate, what is the truth, what is a lie. Versus allowing you, even with guidance, to go into this experience, to see for yourself where it will truly matter so that it can create a foundation for you. But see, this is the play. This is the play on the souls. Because you realize as long as they have knuckleheads to animate their projections and to keep their ghost god Agatha Daemons alive, especially Abrasax, then the chief of demons, which is the one who has the keys to hell, if you go and read the book again, will continue to hold those three keys and keep all of the people still wrapped up in belief rather than knowing, in the confinement, under the hand, under dominion, below the lowered or the lowest star. And that's what I'm saying. Our society, it can't be true because they don't stand on truth. They've never revealed truth to anybody. And then somehow you have masses and swarms of people imagining that, but in some stroke of luck, There is this one story in this one book that has remained untouched. And then the same people that gave him the book is the same people that actually gave him the laws, the rules, the sword, took their land, took their family, took everything, and it was all racist. That's what happens psychologically. And that's why I say we don't even have to go spiritual. That's what happens psychologically generations later when it's like, oh, yeah, I'll do it. Yes, yes. Oh, what do you want me to say? Right? When you've watched your mother die for refusing to remove herself from her awareness of her ancestors, when they already chatting with the ancestors, and the ancestors are already saying, yo, it's time to exit the matrix. They coming, you know what I mean? Like first, they hold on to their life. They're like, look, I don't want to die. I believe. All right, we're coming to baptize you right now. You're going to be baptized. You see what I mean? And then you got new systems that come through, new eidolons, new kings, and it serves perfect. That's why they even use Christianity and Freemasonry. It's perfect. You've already accepted the hierarchy. You've already put yourself in you're already easy to manipulate. You already everything. You're perfect recruiting ground for the force that continues to smash its foot in humanity's face. Facts. You got these people over here acting like we all didn't get the transmission that the UN was created by Israel. We all know this. For better or for worse, the books are there. But then they over there talk about, why isn't the UN doing anything about Israel? What world are you living in? Go get a Jim Mars book already. But then what most people can't do is they can't build collective knowledge. So when you know that, it's like, okay, check. They moving like that. They playing chess. They already knew 15, what is it now? It's like, 20 years since they set it up. Even 30 years somewhere in there since they commissioned it. Since the room was built by Nicky Rourke and they had the scythe and all that stuff in the meditation room and all that kind of stuff. Now we're here and it's like nobody has that information anymore. You got grown people who are saying that they're educated and that they know everything about politics and law, sending treaties and stuff to the UN like they don't even have this information. Like, you better stop that. You're basically telling them on yourself. You're sending them letters. And you believe what they believe in. You're playing in their sanctum so they can take you out. And that's another thing that people need to start realizing. When you jump into that hoax bag, it makes you vulnerable because you're accepting that. It's like a person who could be hypnotized. You gotta accept that you're gonna be hypnotized first. So that's what happened to, we won't say his name. The moment you start saying, hey, yeah, he existed, but he did this and he did that and he did, whoa. No, he didn't exist. Not in the way humans exist. He is an eidolon. And like I said, don't be surprised if you find a whole slew of them, a billion of them, like, great. Now we know he's still an eidolon. We worship the eidolon because that's how they wander all the time astray like that. They wandered after Saul. They wandered after the king, if you may. They could not see the light within themselves. For us, our culture is spirituality. The study of spirits to actually realize what happens after death. That's what the pyramids were for. We could see them further than you could see in the distance a light, always lit. And you knew if someone had died, then you went to that place, you would find not only them, but also what happens after death. This is the circuit. You see what I mean? This is what was built here in this space on Earth in its golden age, was total enlightenment where the planet was in tune. The planet chakras didn't have these same dudes that you believe in so much, toting the flag and the sword and all this kind of stuff, were the same ones that tore up all the rivers, poisoned the waters, dried up the land, and then come back and told everybody that the Lord did it. What's happening to us? I'm breaking out. I don't know what's happening. Oh, you must have done wrong by the Lord. Smash yourself and do penance. you got to realize, especially if you can relate that somehow your ancestors were caught up in this in a few generations, how that will play out today in your DNA and what you would automatically just immediately be like, yeah, that's truth. I'm going to file in there. But I'm telling you from the perspective of being in there, though, and that's where we will conclude today, is that I'm not that person over here acting like I didn't know what went on in Christianity because I wasn't a Christian. I read the Bible 3 times. I wasn't interested in being a pastor. I was interested in being a prophet. I wanted to know where the power was, where the Holy Ghost is, where the Spirit moves, and what does hallelujah really do, and what are tongues really saying, and what is that voice, 4 layers back in your mind in which the devil cannot hear it. You see what I mean? So these things that I'm explaining to you, it came from being on the astral plane, seeing the army of the Lord totally vanquish very innocent beings and hurt other souls and even command you to go and do it too and say, yeah, it's for these gods, which are these Gothic kings. You see what I mean? A soldier in the army of the Lord. Okay. And then you play with this right now, like this is Call of Duty, or like this is some kind of fictitious shenanigan until your soul is reaved because you were just an underling inside the whole thing, never even realizing the obvious of the wool that was being pulled over your eye when the very scripture says there will be one who comes after me and he will say he is me, but I am not him. And this is just strictly a reference that Christ truly, or the charisma is the Kundalini for sure. And when you raise it up to the place of Golgotha, that I will be one. And when it's one, the superior brachium, the real Jesus on the cross on the back of your damn head will light up. And it will be at that moment that you will be one. And the road will be straight and narrow to travel. And it has nothing to do with any kind of exoteric, external visualizations. But remember, the story has something for children and it has something for old men. It has Proverbs and it has Mary had a little lamb. So you would have to gird yourself tight because whatever you think it is what you're going to see. That's the kind of magic we're talking about here. Whatever it is that your ultimate belief is, you're going to encounter that. So if you believe that your God is terrible, if you believe your God is fearful, that he will slay and he kills and he destroys at will, and he hates even some of his children, and you just keep stacking all that up, and then you put that in with a nice cocktail of daddy wasn't home, or mommy was abused, and you try to see the toxic brew that comes out of that, and you act like that can actually stand in the face of the truth, my friends, we have a longer journey, but don't worry. We'll continue to sojourn, meaning that it's small things. Meaning just to be here and be in the space and encourage people to do what should be obvious is small things. Now it's also time to really actually, as I said, people need to get serious. It's like reflecting on the knowledge for a moment, taking the time for yourself, getting a real 360 going on, get your vitamins together. It's like understand how the body works with chain reactions with things like magnesium, vitamin D, and these kind of things that you need. I just did a recent build on this. So that you can understand that your destituteness and at times your feeling of being depressed and the need of something could definitely come from your mineral deficiency and lack of sunlight. And that in these vulnerable states where you're constantly being depleted is when the mind is in itself weak, because it is the one also eating a lot of the foods and the nutrients and things that you're taking. You'd be surprised how much the fluids and things in the brain needs of the nutrients and minerals in your body. And then when there's none, stinking thinking.